I'd like to call the August meeting of Rockland Community College to order. Madam Secretary, will you call the roll? The time is 7:03, 7:02.
Mr. Morton.
Here.
Mr. Rand is excused. Ms. Dillon is present. Ms. Colchamira is excused. Ms. Dykstra-Dinelli?
Present.
Ms. Eckert? Present. Ms. Ramos is excused. Mr. Tao?
Here.
Mr. Valentine?
Present.
And Mr. Boyd?
Here.
Thank you. This is the time for public comment. Is there any public comment?
If I may. Good evening. Just very briefly, I wanted to bring you up to date in terms of the RCCFT and some of the things that we've done this past year. I notified Dr. Wood about a month ago that we were the recipients of the Pride of the Union Award that is given to unions for leadership and for membership interaction. And this is the first time since the inception of our union on campus that that award was given out to RCC. So that worked out. We are more than solvent this year. We filed our taxes at the IRS. We are still not-for-profit. We had an audit done on our books, and the audit came through perfectly clear and clean, and the audit was distributed to all our members by email. So there are no secrets in terms of what's going on with the union. So that's done. And I also wanted to publicly thank Dr. Wood for his efforts in helping achieve parity for our ESS employees, because they were one of the lowest paid groups on campus, and thanks to Dr. Wood and the efforts of Wayne Taylor, we were able to achieve parity for our very low salaried employees on campus, and I really thank you for that. And I sent an email out that you were copied on, and I'm getting emails in return asking me to thank you publicly for your kindness and generosity in doing that. So, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
So just a second, Bill. So you all see on the shelf there, and there are two round awards, and one of those is Dr. Padilla, and after October the 8th, maybe?
5th.
5th, we will have another one to put there, which will be for Professor Baker. So we'll have to get another nice shot of him to put there. And as you all know, he did receive the Association of Community College Trustees Outstanding Faculty Award for the Northeast region, and we're really happy. And he gets to go to New Orleans.
I know it's a chore, but someone has to do it.
And the other thing I would say is with the issues we've had in the past, your efforts at really being transparent with the faculty and with the college about the union is very much appreciated.
And I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Deere, do you have a presentation?
And she's going to ask us all to go sit out here for a minute.
Yes, I'm going to ask you all to sit over there so you can see the PowerPoint. I need to give you some history, so be patient. This Life Happens Center that I call with our 211 Center is something that took probably, it's 8 years in the making. So I'd like to unfold that for you so you understand why we are where we are today. When I first came here in 2008, that year, 2008-2009, Rockland had what's called a student withdrawal. And a student could withdraw from a class up until the end of the 9th week. Several of the other institutions that I was at, they also had what was called an instructor withdrawal, but that was not something that Rockland Community College had. So if a student after 9 weeks got into trouble, that was it. They ended up failing the course. So I met with Academic Standards of the Faculty Senate and said, you know, I as Chief Academic Officer can withdraw a student up to the last day of classes, but I don't want to do that without faculty input. I said, but it's a waste of a student's time to come to me with a faculty signature when you can just withdraw the student. So they agreed to a 2-week extension, which for 2 weeks there would be what's called instructor withdrawal. So if a student ran into trouble and needed to drop a class, they would go to the faculty member, and the faculty member would sign, and the student would get out of the class or drop the class. There was still 4 weeks left, where if a student did get in trouble, they had no recourse. However, there is one person on a college campus who has the right to withdraw a student right up until the last day of classes. And you're looking at her. It's the chief academic officer. But as I spoke with faculty, one of the things that we talked about was the fact that the faculty member really knew the student in the class. And the faculty felt in order for the student to be withdrawn or not withdrawn, that they should have some input. So I agreed that if we dropped a student out of a class, even up until the last day of classes, that I wouldn't do so unless there was a faculty signature, unless it was a medical. So we did have a late withdrawal, which required the course instructor's signature, except for a medical withdrawal. Medical withdrawal, we just withdrew the student. And, though, every student who came to my office, who came to me to drop them out of a class, I asked them to write a paragraph. And I said, what I want you to do in that paragraph is I want you to explain to me exactly why you want to drop that class. And I said, you don't have to give me some sob story, you don't have to give me some strange story, or you don't have to make up a story. I want you to tell me the truth. Because if you have the faculty signature, I will withdraw you regardless of what you say in the paragraph. I just want some information about why students withdraw so we can help other students. So this paragraph, is the basis for the data that's been collected since 2008-2009. What we knew at the time, or what I knew at the time, was that, in speaking with faculty, many faculty felt that students wanted to get out of class the last 3 days or 4 days of a semester because they didn't like their grade. Data also showed us, when we did the academic master plan, that academic support services was something that we were a little weak on at Rockland Community College. So the Title III grant is something that we had for 5 years that helped us strengthen our academic support services. The tutoring, the mentoring, our Science Learning Center, etc. The other thing is, nationally, statistics show that financial issues for students was the #1 reason why students didn't complete an associate's degree. But something was still missing. Something still was missing. So I have to admit, over 8 years, I read approximately 1,500 student paragraphs, give or take 1 or 2. So I read 1,500 of them. And what I found was that life happens to our students. It's not that they won't or they refuse to, it's they cannot make going to college a #1 priority because of other things that are happening to them. So I keep you awake a little bit. They struggle and they fail, or they struggle and they leave. It's the bottom line. So, is that anecdotal? Because I've read the paragraphs and I say, yes? No, there's proof. And here it is. If you look, what I did was I had Patty Coves in my office, not take 8 years, but take 4 years. And I said, I want you to read, from a totally objective point of view, every paragraph. And I want you to categorize whether the student withdrew for medical reasons, family reasons, financial reasons, personal reasons, grading reasons, if they were in over their heads in the course, or if it was some other reason, let's put them in another category. So if you look, there were 777 students that wrote those paragraphs. Only really 4% of them dropped because of financial reasons. And 21 or 24% dropped because they didn't like the grade that they were going to receive. But if you look, really 48% dropped because of either medical, family, or personal reasons. But if you take all those categories and even throw the financial piece in, 51% of our students dropped due to medical, family, financial, or personal reasons. And the medical reasons could be the student themselves, or it also could be family members. So I wasn't going to read you all 777 paragraphs, but what I thought I would do is just give you a couple. On October 7th, my mother was hospitalized. Since I was suddenly responsible for maintaining my household and caring for my mentally ill father and brother, I was not able to attend class or complete assignments for a large portion of my English 101, 102 class. And then it goes on, and a lot of the paragraphs talk about how very helpful faculty members are. Now, I looked up this student. This student started in the fall of 2007. And it was in December of 2009 that something must have happened. All right, obviously her mother being hospitalized, and she withdrew from English 102. She came back and tried English 102 again, but failed it again. And on the third time, it wasn't because she couldn't do English 102, because she got a B+ the third time she took it. She graduated in 7 years with an AA degree, 65 credits with a grade point average of 3.65. My question is, back in 2009 when she was struggling, could we have helped her at that point because life was happening to her? This is another student. With my father being in and out of the hospital for his heart problems, my having to work and watch my 2 younger siblings, and we see this a lot, I haven't had time to dedicate to my studies. I'm sorry I haven't been attentive to this class. It's just been a bit chaotic for me over the past few weeks. I'm doing poorly in this class due to my missing core assignments, and I appreciate you giving me extra time in the most recent essay. This was to the faculty member. But do you think withdrawing from this class was a good idea? So the students have great relationships and do talk to the faculty about should I or shouldn't I. And so the faculty member did give this student permission to withdraw from the class. This student was enrolled in the fall of 2013 and withdrew from an English 102 class in the summer. He completed 32 credits with a 2.81 and has not been enrolled again. What's interesting though is that this student did not withdraw from school, in my opinion, due to grades, because he received an A in anatomy and physiology, which is extremely difficult, and a B+ in organic chemistry and an A in intermediate algebra. So this is a very bright student, and if we had gotten a hold of this student, maybe the student would still be with us. The reason I'm dropping Bio 103 and other classes is because I'm going through so many changes in my life in this moment. I have to work more hours since I'm a single mother right now. I'm going through a divorce, therefore I'm not well emotionally and financially continue taking regular classes. This student started in the spring of 2015. She got into trouble with Bio 103 in the spring of 2016. She withdrew. She's an ESL student and she's not registered for the fall of 2016. She has 32 credits with a 3.7 grade point average. I'm writing this letter in regards to applying for a late withdrawal from an online class I have selected to take. I was unable to fill all the requirements due to prior family incident I have dealt with in the beginning of the semester. The effects from dealing with it pushed me back from doing the best I could. A lot of stress has built up and made me fall behind in my classwork. I wasn't able to be around my son because of that. It brought a lot of stress upon me. Now that I'm reunited with my son and everything has come to a conclusion, my attitude has changed. I know now I can do better next semester and won't have this problem again. This student enrolled in 2015. He came back, he left, he came back, he struggled for a semester, he was on academic probation, he withdrew from a criminal justice class. He has 6 credits of A, and he has a grade point average, even though he messed up quite a bit, with a 2.63. He is enrolled, he went to summer school, he got English 101, he got an A-, English 102, he got an A, and he's enrolled in 15 credits for the fall. So his life went downhill and then rebounded back, but I feel that if we had reached out to him the 2 semesters he was on academic probation, we could have helped him. These are 4 examples. We randomly pulled these 4 examples, and out of the 1,500, I can't tell you, especially over the last 3 years, and Tom Delatorre can attest to this, because all I kept saying to him was, we have to do something, life happens. We have to do something, I'm telling you, life happens, what are we gonna do? So, we needed some support service that was very similar to our strong academic support services that we built over the last several years. Tom Delatorre must have listened to me because he did some research and found out that there actually is a 211 center in Westchester that does exactly what it was that I was talking about. And we chatted, and so then I started saying, we need a Life Happens 211 center on campus. And I still can't get that out of my head. So, with Liz Kendall, Tom Delatorre, and myself, and I have to throw Dana Stilley in there, because I'm sure she was really tired of me saying that all the time, too, 212 and 212, we gotta help these kids. We wrote a grant, or Liz wrote the grant, and we were accepted as one of 3 community colleges to receive $500,000 for our SUNY Community Schools grant funding to establish a 211 center on campus. And in February 3rd, that's when we received the grant, and we've been moving ahead ever since. With this grant, we have 17 county organizations supporting us. So if our students get into trouble, what we can do is we can get help not only from our own counseling center, but also the county. And the beauty of this is sometimes it's not just the student, it's also the families that get in trouble. So what we're doing with our 211 center, our connection center, is we're also helping the families as well as the student. So our 211 center is located on the 3rd floor of the technology center. It's actually called, and you'll see when I show you the table tag, Life Happens 211, it's called the Connection Center. Because 211 is patented, copyright, and we're not allowed to steal it, even though I have, obviously, 211, I love 211 Center. And we'll be open for business early this fall. Now, we've already hired a coordinator who's been working really hard over the last several weeks, Joe Falco. And Joe is not new to us. He's one of our adjunct professors in the area of psychology and sociology. He's a licensed marriage and family therapist. He's with a private practice. He has a master's degree in education and school counseling. He got that in 2008 at LIU, and he has an MS in marriage and family therapy, 2013 from LIU. So he's been one of our adjuncts. He was very instrumental with getting our mentoring program off the ground several years ago, and he's been an academic advisor for us at RCC. I'm going to let Joe come up and talk a little bit about where the center is right now and the direction we're going in, and then we'll answer questions. This is our table tag. It's a little small. There is 211 in there, by the way, so.
Yes, we were able to keep 211 in the logo, as you can see at the top of the poster or the table tag. Actually, I'd like to just look at that logo for a minute. We had a lot of conversation, did a lot of brainstorming on the best way to market and brand and present the center. And so this is what we came up with. And with the whole Life Happens idea, what that large mass is supposed to represent is really what's going on in our heads when life is happening, how things are unsettled, how things are overwhelming. And so when I presented this logo to a group of students, one of the students, I asked them, so what stands out to you about this? What does this mean to you when you're looking at it? And the student right away said, oh, life happens with all those squiggly lines. It means that I'm a mess and you can help me. And so we all got a chuckle out of that, and that's really the message that we're trying to get across to students. Not so much that they're a mess, but life is happening, things are overwhelming, and when things are overwhelming, it's very difficult to be able to problem solve. So if you're able to come to the Connection Center, we will be able to connect students and their family members to resources in the community in collaboration with Hudson Valley 211, which is through United Way. The Connection Center is able to provide students with human interaction, a human connection, and a human touch when life happens, right? So it's not like fill out a form, someone's going to get back to you, or just pick up the phone and dial 211 on your own, which they can do. But the center, the idea behind the center is offering that human touch. And it communicates to students that we at RCC want to see you succeed. We want to see you get the help that you need. We want to see you stay enrolled. And we want to see you complete your degree. So with that human touch element, we are going to have not only the center on the 3rd floor of the tech center, we are also going to have a kiosk that's going to be set up right outside these doors on the 1st floor of the tech center. And both of these areas are going to be staffed by resource navigators. Resource navigators are going to be graduate level mental health counselors. They're going to be student veterans. They're going to be RSVP volunteers. And also some psychology interns from Rockland Community College. So we're getting the community feel already, using a lot of our current students to be able to help with the connection piece and be able to give back. And there's also the trained professional piece. So the students will meet with resource navigators who are going to perform some sort of triage. If we're able to connect the student to a resource that's on campus, that's exactly what we're going to do. But if there is a situation that may be a little more sensitive, may require a little more attention, a little more in-depth discussion, then the resource navigator will have the student, bring the student up to the Connection Center, where they will meet with either me or one of the graduate interns. And then there will be a confidential, private conversation. We have a cubicle that's currently being built that's going to have white noise protection, so there will be privacy. There's also, I have a private office as well, so that students don't have to worry about that their business, their Life Happens business is going to be publicized. So there will be that privacy element. And then what ends up happening is, through this intake process, students will be able, and their family members will be able to speak with one of us. We'll have that discussion, we'll build the rapport, we'll have that trusting environment. And then what will happen is we will have the student and or the family member right then and there pick up their phone and call 211. And what happens then, a call specialist picks up on the other line, or the other end of the line rather, and the student will be connected with the appropriate resources. The idea is we want to, it's small writing up there, it says, but before withdrawing from your classes, come speak to us. We want this to be proactive. We want to talk to the students before they've already dropped the classes. That's one of the goals here, to be able to reach out to the students before they make that decision to withdraw. Even though we aren't scheduled to launch until September, we've already started to help students. I had one of the faculty counselors, Inez Rivera, reached out to me because she had a student who really wanted to come back this fall. However, she was dealing with a housing issue. Her parents did not support her going to school. She's been working 3 jobs. And they kicked her out of the house. And so she went to Inez to have a conversation, and so Inez referred her to me. So I met with this student. We had a discussion. I had her call 211 in my office. She was able to receive the appropriate resources. The call specialist gave her the contact information for housing resources in Orange County, where she works, and Rockland County, where she wants to go to school. And so the next step here is the follow-up. I will be following up with her to see how things worked out, if there's any additional support that she may be needing. because that's an important piece also. It's not, okay, so you call 211, see you later, we can check off a box. There's also that element, and these resource navigators are going to be helping me with this, the idea of let's do follow-up, let's tie the loop. Let's see what happened. Were the students able to get the resources they need, and maybe another issue has come up. It's the idea that, okay, we've helped them, they see that we're a helpful resource, maybe there's something else that we can help them with. Again, all with that human interaction piece. And what's great about this example also shows us that there's a great collaboration between the Connection Center and the Counseling Center. Had Inez not referred that student to me, we don't know what would have happened to that student. So we're collaborating so that we can offer students all of the support that they need while they're here. If we can't offer it on campus, we will find that support for them. Another cluster of students that we're able to help currently, before the semester has even begun, is students that are looking to return to school, return to the college, and who had somewhat of a sticky past. Perhaps if we look at their transcripts, all we see is withdrawals and Fs and Ds, etc., and that they're looking to come back. And being able to meet with someone in the Connection Center allows us to find out more of the story. It's more than just the grades. It's more than the unpaid balance. It's let's find out what's happening. And so just this morning I met with a student who was in tears. She really wants to come back to the college. She has dealt with a lot of personal turmoil, a lot of turmoil with her mother. She's had some financial concerns. She had a relationship issue. And she wants to make a difference in her life. And so she came to me explaining her story. And so I asked her, what would she like to see different in her life? What would she like to do differently? And what does she plan on doing differently? Because if students have some sort of improvement plan in place, then they're more likely to succeed when they come back. And so she was able to share that information with me, and so I said, okay, next step, you're going to pick up the phone, and you're going to call 211. And she's like, okay, so she picks up the phone, and she's like, what's the rest of the number? I'm like, no, it's actually 211. It's kind of like 911, 411, and she's like, oh. So a big piece of our marketing is actually educating people on what 211 stands for. So she was able to call. She asked if she could put the call on speaker, and I said, it's okay with you. If you would like that additional support guidance through the phone call, sure. So she did. She put the call on speaker, and we were able to get her the help that she needed. I said that I would recommend to Dr. Wood that she be allowed to take classes again in the fall. I said, but we're not done. What's going to happen is you're going to hear from me again. Because again, it's that follow-up with this. I want to make sure that she actually contacted the resources, that she's committed to her improvement plan, and if there's anything else that she may be needing. So that's really what this is all about. That's really what the Connection Center is. It's having the students come in. It's operating on some sort of triage. If we can't connect them here to resources that we already have on campus, then it's connecting them outside.
So we're not even open yet, and we've already had several students referred. And the other thing too is that it's by word of mouth. Every single course syllabus and every faculty member will have it, so the students will know on the course syllabus. Do you have any questions for Joe or I regarding this?
I just want to say this is such a great program. I wish I had it when I was a student, and you can't imagine how many students you're going to be helping with this. I'm so happy we're going to have something like this.
I wish I had it 40 years ago too.
My only question is, are we going to have a way of tracking, say, could you add a box on the withdrawal form to verify whether a student has already consulted with Life Hacking Center after they're filling out a withdrawal form, so we could keep track of how many have gone through?
Yes, and we're also going to take it a step further. Before they withdraw, they have to go see Joe. So they have to go to the 211 Center.
Wow, great.
Good job, both of you.
I have a question. Dr. Baker, do you want us sitting over here for your presentation, or?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so we'll stay here.
Good job, Student Joe.
Very good.
Two of those referrals were for me because, giving a student $811 to pay a bill you read all this stuff, it's the easy part, because the good news is we have some money to do that, if they have a really good reason. The thing for me is, if we pay the bill, are they really ready to come back? And that, I sometimes have tried to work on that, but now I can send them to Joe, because I want to be sure they're ready to come back before we make the investment, so they don't end up in the same place. So this is the kind of, I hope you all realize, this is really cutting edge for community colleges, sort of a best practice. This is why we're in that Aspen group of 50 community colleges, because look how thorough our proposal was, and you can imagine when we send something like this in, with the data Dr. Deere had, that's why we were one of 3 schools that got the money. So, good job. Now, Dr. Baker, Dr. Christopher Baker, is going to tell you about something that's very exciting. This is moving along very quietly because we're working with IRG. I have a conversation again tomorrow with their real estate developer, and then I think we will be ready very shortly to have a public announcement that I think people are going to find very, very exciting. And I just spent all day today and all day Tuesday in the Mid-Hudson Regional Economic Development Council meeting, and heard lots of some things about that meeting that make what we're doing here going to be even more exciting. And so Christopher is going to be our first executive director of, you tell him, Christopher.
I will serve as the first executive director of the Rockland Community College Innovation Center. And so definitely would like to thank Mr. Chairman, the esteemed Board of Trustees for making some time in your busy schedule. And I really need to thank Dr. Wood and Dr. Deere for indulging me and AVP Delatorre as we kind of assemble the pieces to the Innovation Center, kind of sculpting it to what we thought really we needed to do, especially in the void of what Pfizer used to do and the manufacturing that used to happen in the county and the scientific expertise that unfortunately we're going to be losing as they scale back. So what you're seeing here is the IRG property, formerly Pfizer, formerly Wyeth, formerly literally an American Chemical. It's approximately 245 developed acres out of the 500 and change. There's about 2 million square feet of laboratory space, a vivarium, a carbohydrate fermenter, and very, very well-equipped laboratories and manufacturing space that we're going to be losing as Pfizer pulls back and as IRG assumes control of the property. Most of us know that there used to be probably 6,000 jobs. They were definitely the largest employer in the county. And as of now, they're scaling back to about 600 to 700 employees. So it's a great loss. What we are in the process of doing, as Dr. Wood has put, is negotiating with IRG as Pfizer pulls back to the shaded area in the left-hand corner to take possession of 2 buildings, more than likely the 2 buildings that have been starred. And the 2 buildings that are starred are building 180 and 205, amounting to somewhere around 175,000 square feet of space out of the 2 million rentable on the campus. And in those buildings, there's an assortment of well-equipped lab space and about 800 square foot of lab, several office spaces and cubicles that we'll be able to take part of for businesses or incubator space that we can then turn around and staff with companies and businesses looking to establish in Rockland, and technology, services, and expertise that can both add to the community and advise the Pfizer operation that will remain within that fenced-in area on the bottom left. The 2 buildings in a little bit more detail. This is building 180, this is building 205. More than likely, this is going to be the building with the startup space. We're looking to create a startup zone of about 168,000 square feet. And the incubator will be, housed in this building that's about 75,000 rentable feet, not including hallways. So that's the laboratory and the office space. And so the idea behind the Innovation Center then is multi-purpose. We're looking to start an Innovation Center and do this under a community model. We're looking to do the best we can do in terms of jobs for the community, in terms of educational partnerships for the college, and ultimately doing all of this with the students in mind. And so this technology center is going to have probably 4 legs to the stool, if you will. The first thing we're going to have there is the Startup New York space, 168,000 square feet. That obviously comes with a tax benefit to bring in companies and ultimately bring in jobs. The startup folks and the incubator folks that we're hoping to attract are going to be in the technology sector. So this could be protein science, this could be genetics. Ultimately, it should be things that augment what's being done on the campus, which will remain protein science, as well as any other technological or computer bits that we can bring to the region. Along with that, we're going to be bringing in a super 3D smart lab. And so we already have one in Haverstraw, and there are some 3D printers and CAD workstations there. We've just bought and had delivered to the campus a new Stratasys J750 printer, which is a monstrosity. It was something like 2,000 pounds shipped. And it comes with the capability of printing 6 polymers on 6 heads, whatever polymers you want, whatever colors you want, probably up to graphene as a substrate, down to the 14 micron detail layer. So for the manufacturers and the business partners that we have currently using the Haverstraw facility, we'll be able to offer them a much better place to play, so to speak, test their prototypes, and implement business solutions through our 3D Smart Lab. Along with that, we'll have some 3D scanners. So if you remember when you came in, there's the 3D model of the Empire State Building. We would have the capability to scan that with our new scanners, reprint that in the color and the detail that you see out there, indistinguishable from the model that would be out there. And obviously, we would offer those business solutions to the folks in the incubator, to the businesses in the community, and to anybody else that we were to attract. The technology incubator will be in the building 205, and it's a mixture of labs and it's a mixture of office space. And we're going to offer a lot of different solutions to attract different kinds of startups, different kinds of technology startups. Folks can rent lab space. There will be shared space for not only the companies, but for the educational piece, our faculty and our partners, which I'll mention in a moment. There's also going to be an opportunity to graduate from the incubator if they would like to stay in the region, and we hope they would, to either startup space or maybe an IDA project. And to support the folks in the technology incubator and at the startup space, we're going to have a business innovation wall. And folks from the Small Business Development Center in Rockland and some of our associates, Suffolk County and surrounding regions, the IDA, the RADC, they will be there to help the folks there and anybody that we want to attract, also available to the community. So if you want to start a business, we can help you. If you want to grow a business, we can help you. We can basically offer any solution that you'd like to get the business off the ground and get it moving. And lastly, we're looking to partner with a lot of educational folks in higher ed. SUNY, Stony Brook has been one of our main partners from the start. They're willing to help us with programmatic pieces. They're willing to help us with scientific expertise. The Research Foundation of the State of New York has been instrumental. They've been guiding us along, not only in making the connections with the researchers, helping us connect with the PIs on these projects and the graduate students, so that we can build a directory of labs and PIs and students that might be available to assist either with technological expertise or with potential internships. And with Columbia University, who is our neighbor to the south at Lamont Doherty, and who has a great interest in helping us out, not only with scientific expertise, but helping us get technology folks in there that will support the businesses in the region. So all in all, these are the 4 legs of the stool that will comprise the Innovation Center. And essentially where we are now is the startup application is at the Vice President's office for final review. We hope to have that out very, very shortly. Once that goes out, the startup zone can be created, we hope by early September. With that done, we're working to complete all the lease agreements. Dr. Wood has been working very, very hard. We want to have that wrapped up very, very soon. And we should have a grand opening this fall where everything comes together, and we can invite folks in and get the Innovation Center started on where we hope will be collaboratively very good with us, the community, Pfizer, and where we hope we can provide a lot of internships for students, a lot of work-related experience for students, and start to create jobs in the community.
So what's really, he didn't say that you're saying, what is this going to cost us, and how can we afford to do this? And this is the really amazing news. We are providing Dr. Baker's salary and some other support staff that we have in our budget. IRG is giving us an amazing deal, which is basically they're providing the space, security, the maintenance for a very, very minimal, nominal amount, if any at all, and that's what we're working through with them. And then Pfizer has made a commitment, if we put this in place, that for the first 2 years, that we will get $150,000 that we can use. That'll be our operating money. And then we will get money eventually, and we think in 3 years, with what the people will pay who come in there in an incubator, it will really be self-supporting. And one of the things that we were interviewing these CFA projects today, and there is now, the executive director of the Mid-Hudson region talked to me, pulled me out in the hall, because there is a real opportunity for us there with a couple of projects that may be coming forward that would be unbelievable. So we are going to get national attention, I promise you, within a year about what we're going to be able to do there. And for us, it really is, we've done it all with resources that we had. The 3D lab, that's all equipment and not cheap equipment that we got through grants. So this is really all self-sustaining and self-supported, and it's going to be an amazing opportunity for our students, but also will involve students in the Hudson Valley Educational Consortium because of internships and experiences that students need. Our P-TECH high school students were working, because when it was Pfizer, they wouldn't have high school students. So we have an opportunity to match students and jobs, and that's what this is really all about. And IRG is in the process of bringing on about one of the things that slowed us down, he wanted to see what space they were going to open. They're in the process of signing 2 big leases with some businesses that are coming in there that are high-tech businesses that will really want what we're able to offer. So this is going to be very, very exciting and kind of groundbreaking. And Christopher, my money's on Christopher that he can do to pull this off.
We're close. We're very close. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
So while everybody's coming up here, let's do something fun. We're going to 1, 2, 3. We're going to sing Happy Birthday to Trustee Boyd. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear dear. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Will this be the first election you're voting in?
Can we say how old are you again?
Just thought I would.
Just throw that in, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Wood.
And we do need to have a closed session for the purpose of the employment of a particular person and labor negotiations, collective bargaining issues. So let me be very brief tonight, because I thought we've had 2 really terrific presentations. And I would just tell you that we are moving forward with a number of projects. Hopefully this week we have the RFP for the demolition of the amphitheater space is complete, and we have a calendar, and hopefully by the end of the semester, I never knew it took so much time and energy and money to take down a facility, but we've now figured out all the environmental issues. And at the same time, we have a contract with an architect to design the theater space. It will be in a couple of phases because of money, and if all goes well, we would be ready to begin the construction of that in the early spring, followed by the planning for the Peace Garden in May. And so by June, we think that at least phase 1 of the performance space will be complete, and they'll be able to use it. You know, these facilities projects, the timing is a real issue. The good news for us is, I think because everything costs more, this demolition is costing more. This gives us some additional time, some additional fundraising, and I'm hoping that we can do that this fall and early spring so that we can actually do all phases of the outdoor performance space at the same time, because the plan is there and the architect understands. He was a really creative guy who's very excited about this project. So we're moving forward, and I don't know if Dr. Hussein mentioned, but we're moving forward with our energy performance, and we're all set. So those are the things that we keep working on, these municipal facilities projects. I mentioned that we now got a commitment from Assemblymember Brabenek to do our occupational therapy lab. Liz is monitoring those very carefully, and we've got a couple of them that are actually, we're ready to about complete. or at least begin to start the renovations in the field house.
Dr. Wood, if you mind, I was at Senator Curlich's senior fair today, and Assemblyman Zabrowski asked me personally if we could have a press conference soon for the library project.
All right.
that we're sponsoring.
Absolutely. They were all here today, it's an election year, they were all here. So, you have my president's report, and of course, I had to tell you about my trip to California just so I could put a picture of my grandchildren in here. But I hope you enjoyed it. I took them to the Skirball Center, which has this Noah's Ark, which is the most amazing play space for children you've ever seen. And, they talk about, that there are all of these cultures in the world that have a story about the flood and an ark of some kind. So you really realize that it really is universal. And these model Noah's Arks from all over the world, and you get a sense from the material and the crafting and the way the animals are designed that it does come from all over the world. And that's sort of the way I feel that we're sort of this ark that takes in, lions and tigers and kangaroosies each fall, and hopefully they, can find a new and better life for themselves. So I had fun writing that, and I hope that you enjoy it. And that would be my report unless someone has a question.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Dr. Wood. We're moved to the consent agenda. Tonight there are 4 items on the consent agenda. There are 3 resolutions. These resolutions were discussed at our previous meeting, our workshop meeting. So I will read these. If any of the trustees wish to have any of these individual items voted on separately, just raise your hand and we will remove that from the consent agenda and vote on it separately. So the 4 items are the approval of the previous meeting minutes from 7/21/2016. Number 2 is the approval to amend the resolution, approval to amend the placement and assessment policy. This is resolution 39/2016. Number 3 is a resolution approval of the lowest responsible bidder for the Scene newsletter 2016-2017. This is resolution 40/2016. And number 4 is the resolution for the emergency repair of the boilers, which is resolution 41/2016. Can I have a motion to approve?
Moved. I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yes, I neglected to mention to you at the workshop, does anybody have additions, deletions, changes in the minutes? I forgot to do it at the workshop.
Any changes to the minutes?
I have none.
No changes. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Academic Affairs, Dr. Susan Deere.
You have my written report, but there are a couple things that I would like to announce. First of all, I'd like to congratulate our nursing department, the Accreditation Commission for Education in Nursing at its July meeting. Granted accreditation to our associate nursing program and scheduled the next visit for spring of 2024. That's 8 years, which is the maximum amount, and that is absolutely very complimentary to our nursing department. So congratulations and thank you to Cookie Lever, who's the department chair, and also the nursing faculty. Outstanding job. The second thing is that the Association of Community College Trustees awarded Professor Bill Baker the Northeast Regional Member Award for, it's a national award for teaching excellence. Professor Baker happens to be in the audience, and he is one in 5, only 5 faculty members across the nation to be recognized for this award, and that we have him here at RCC. Speaks volumes. He will be going to the National Leadership Congress October 7th in New Orleans, and I would just like to say that congratulations for a well-deserved honor. Also, I had mentioned at the workshop that the startup for the fall semester is Tuesday, August 30th in the Cultural Arts Theater, and to invite the board members if they'd like to come. The actual startup itself starts at 10:15 and goes until 12:30. Then there'll be a lunch, And then there will be from 1:30 to 3 p.m., conversation on race that Dr. Wood will be facilitating. So if there are no questions, that is my report.
Did you say September 2nd? Is that what you said?
August
Oh, I'm
30th.
sorry, the startup, I'm sorry.
August 30th, Tuesday, August 30th.
Any questions for Dr. Deere? Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Okay, Student Services Report, AVP Dana Stilley.
Good evening. You have my written report. If there are no questions on that, I would like to move along and say that this week is the week that we were happy to host many orientations. Monday night, we hosted our parent orientation, which was very well attended. We had a panel which was staffed by Enrollment Services administrators and Academic Support Center administrators and faculty members. And the parents seemed to be very happy with the questions that were addressed there. And we were happy with the turnout. Well over 100 parents were able to be with us. Today we held our new veterans orientation and our international student orientation. Those two were very well attended. We have 24 new student veterans who will be joining us this fall, and we have 50 new international students joining us this fall. And that is my report.
Any questions? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Finance and Administration, Dr. Nair Hussain.
Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You have the written report. I would like to inform the board that around this time of the year, we submit new capital projects to the county for consideration for their next year's budget. However, given the, I don't know what's the proper word, given the speed with which county projects are handled, we decided to resubmit some projects that we consider are important. So we resubmitted the project on a multi-purpose language lab, on a emergency security notification system for the entire campus. We also put in some requests for equipment, heavy equipment, snowplow, and all of that kind of thing. And finally, we put in a request for funding of 300 desktop computers, which was a new one. So the new one got rejected, the others are in the process, I guess. So we'll see when they have been, what is the word, they've been bonded, but not funded. So we don't know exactly when these projects will actually come to fruition, but that's my report.
Any questions? Thank
And
you,
the
Dr.
air conditioning for the field house is still under review, and the roof, really, forever.
Board Secretary report?
I received this card. Hope to know how much your thoughtfulness is appreciated. Thank you for your visit, and we sent a card to Zipporah Redmond on the death of her mother.
Any questions? Okay, there will not be a foundation report this evening, and we have a NICET report.
The only thing I have to report is the NICET meeting will be held at the Atsaga, I think that's how it's pronounced. Atsaga, okay, in Cooperstown in October, and as soon as I get more information, obviously I'll pass it on.
Thank you. We will not have a Student Government Association report tonight, and we're in older new business, and we will, if there's any older new business.
Just real quick, two things. One is, one of the things I failed to mention, Joe Rand and I last week met and had lunch with Michael Beckridge of York Analytical, and he was able to tell us that he finally has full approval from the village of Nyack, and he will be able to actually put up his Rockland Community College Startup New York sign in Nyack within the next few weeks, and we will plan some kind of major opening there. And as I said, what I want to do, he's also finalized his plan and been approved for Startup New York with the York College, which is a CUNY school. So I'm hoping the Lieutenant Governor is going to be here because we'll get some press. It'll be the first SUNY CUNY startup in New York. And so we're very excited. He's hired 6 employees to work there in the village of Nyack, and these are high-level jobs. And he has 2 workstations for RCC interns. So he's really done everything he said he'd do, and he should get some award for patience, is all. And the other thing is, I think you've all got an invitation, and I think it's Tuesday, September the 13th. We are gonna have a photography exhibit in the gallery upstairs in this building, and then a lecture, a gallery talk, at 12:30, and then one at 7 in the evening. And the artist is a young woman named Krista Wartendijk, who is in Chicago, and has gotten international recognition for her photography. She's both a gifted artist, and she is also very interested in community advocacy in terms of what happens in a city with high crime rates and how it affects the community. I think you'll find it really, really interesting, and I hope that you can come to one of those 2 presentations.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wood. Can I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Who was that?
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Take a piece of cake with them.
Aye.
Oh, I didn't.
All opposed? Motion carries.